Imagine a world stripped bare of inherent meaning, a cosmos indifferent to human aspirations, where values are mere constructs and existence itself an absurd accident. What if this apparent dead end, this abyss of meaninglessness, wasn't the final word, but rather the very ground from which something new could emerge? Are you ready to confront the uncomfortable truth about a philosophy that stares into the void? In an age where traditional values are crumbling and the search for meaning has become a defining quest, understanding the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche becomes not just relevant, but essential. But here's where we must dispel a common misconception. Nietzsche was not a nihilist. He was, in fact, a philosopher who diagnosed nihilism as a profound crisis of his time, a spiritual sickness threatening to engulf Western civilization. This video is not an endorsement of nihilism, but an exploration of Nietzsche's complex and often misunderstood relationship with it, a journey into how he believed we might transcend the abyss. Nietzsche saw nihilism as a necessary, albeit perilous, stage in the ongoing reevaluation of values. Like a forest fire that clears the underbrush to make way for new growth, the destruction of old beliefs can pave the way for the creation of new, life-affirming values. This is the essence of what Nietzsche termed active nihilism, a concept we will explore in greater depth, contrasting it sharply with the passive resignation that often characterizes the popular understanding of nihilism. It's about understanding how to destroy in order to create. To understand Nietzsche's diagnosis, we must consider the historical context in which he wrote. 19th century Europe, an era marked by the decline of religious faith and the ascendance of scientific rationalism. God is dead, Nietzsche famously proclaimed, a provocative statement that symbolized the spiritual crisis of the age. This wasn't a declaration of atheism, but an observation about the crumbling foundations of traditional morality, a cultural earthquake that left a gaping void in its wake, a void into which nihilism threatened to rush. Why should you care about Nietzsche's views on nihilism? Because in today's world, we find ourselves facing a similar crisis of meaning. Traditional sources of authority and value are increasingly questioned, leading to widespread cultural anxieties and a desperate search for new anchors. Nietzsche's philosophy, though challenging, offers a framework for navigating these turbulent waters, a way to confront the existential questions that haunt our age. Grappling with nihilism, as Nietzsche envisioned it, can lead to a more authentic and self-determined existence. Imagine a life lived according to values imposed from the outside versus a life forged in the crucible of self-discovery, a life where you are the artist and your values, the masterpiece. Nietzsche challenges us to question everything, to tear down the idols of the past, and to build our own temples of meaning, to become the creators of our own values. This isn't about embracing chaos, but about taking responsibility for our own lives and shaping them according to our own unique vision. Understanding Nietzsche challenges many of our most cherished assumptions about morality, purpose, and the very nature of reality. Get ready to have your notions of good and evil turned upside down as we delve into Nietzsche's genealogy of morality, a radical reevaluation of the origins and value of our moral codes. Understanding Nietzsche will challenge the very core of your beliefs. Ultimately, this video is about the possibility of finding meaning and creating values in a world without inherent purpose. It's about understanding how Nietzsche's philosophy, despite its initial confrontation with the abyss of nihilism, is ultimately a powerful call to life affirmation, a summons to embrace our creative potential and to become the architects of our own existence. So, what exactly is nihilism? In its most basic form, nihilism is the rejection of objective truth, value, and meaning. A dictionary might define it as the belief that life is meaningless, but this definition barely scratches the surface. Nihilism encompasses a range of philosophical positions, from the denial of objective moral values to the rejection of all knowledge claims. Underlying Nietzsche's philosophy is the concept of perspectivism. Nietzsche argued that all knowledge is interpretation, that there is no objective, God's-eye view of the world. Each of us sees the world through our own unique lens, shaped by our individual experiences, values, and beliefs. We will explore the ramifications of this concept in greater detail later. But for now, it's important to understand that Nietzsche saw perspectivism not as a limitation, but as a source of strength and creativity. Over the course of this video, we will delve into Nietzsche's critique of morality, his concept of the will to power, his thought experiment of eternal recurrence, and his vision of the Übermensch. Each of these themes is interconnected, and each contributes to Nietzsche's overarching project of overcoming nihilism. Nietzsche's method was to dismantle existing systems of thought in order to build something new. From Plato to Christianity to Kant, no sacred cow was safe from his iconoclastic hammer. This pattern of critique and reconstruction is central to understanding Nietzsche's philosophy, a continuous cycle of destruction and creation, a relentless questioning of all values. But was Nietzsche truly a nihilist? What did he really mean by the will to power? And is it truly possible to create values in a world without inherent purpose? If God is dead, then is everything permitted? These are just some of the questions we will grapple with in this video. Nietzsche's writings are notoriously complex and often contradictory, requiring careful interpretation and a willingness to engage with his ideas on multiple levels. Understanding his philosophy is not a passive exercise, but an active process of critical thinking and self-reflection. His statements were crafted to be dissected, interpreted, and understood, but not simply taken at face value. Keep in mind that Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch represents a possible solution to the problem of nihilism, a vision of a higher type of human being who embraces life in all its complexity and creates their own values in the face of meaninglessness. We will return to this idea later, unpacking its complexities and exploring its implications for our own lives. Prepare yourself for a controversial and thought-provoking analysis of values as we dive deep into the history of morality to understand what Nietzsche thought was wrong with it and why. Understanding the history of morality is key to understanding Nietzsche. Prepare to question everything you think you know. Nietzsche's critique of morality begins with a radical proposition: that our traditional notions of good and evil are not timeless truths, but rather historical constructs, products of specific social and psychological forces. This approach, known as his genealogy of morality, isn't about seeking universal ethical principles. It's about uncovering the origins and evolution of our moral concepts, questioning their value, and exposing their hidden agendas. This is a stark departure from traditional moral philosophy, which typically seeks to establish universal and objective standards of right and wrong. Where philosophers like Kant sought to ground morality in reason, Nietzsche looked to history and psychology, dissecting the motivations and power dynamics that shaped our moral landscape. Imagine a detective investigating a crime scene, not to solve the mystery in the conventional way, but to understand how the very concept of crime came to be defined in the first place. What hidden motives might be lurking beneath the surface of our seemingly noble ideals? At the heart of Nietzsche's genealogy lies the distinction between master morality and slave morality. Master morality, he argued, originated in ancient aristocratic societies where the ruling class defined good as whatever affirmed their own power, strength, and vitality, while bad was associated with weakness, inferiority, and everything that threatened their dominance. Think of the Homeric heroes, celebrating strength, courage, and victory in battle. In contrast, slave morality arose among oppressed groups, such as the early Christians, who lacked the power to directly challenge their oppressors. They inverted the values of the master class, defining good as humility, compassion, and self-sacrifice, while evil became associated with the qualities of the masters: pride, ambition, and ruthlessness. Consider the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus preached the virtues of meekness, forgiveness, and love for one's enemies. These moralities, according to Nietzsche, are not simply different sets of values. They represent fundamentally different ways of experiencing and responding to the world, reflecting the power dynamics of their respective social contexts. How did these power dynamics shape our modern values? Nietzsche saw traditional morality, particularly its emphasis on altruism and self-sacrifice, as a tool for suppressing the will to power and maintaining social control. He argued that these values, while seemingly noble, often serve to weaken individuals, discouraging them from asserting their own strength and pursuing their own goals. Altruism, in Nietzsche's view, could be a form of disguised self-interest or even resentment, a way for the weak to exert power over the strong by manipulating their guilt and sense of obligation. Consider the individual who constantly sacrifices their own needs for others, not out of genuine generosity, but out of a deep-seated need for validation or a fear of being alone. Nietzsche would argue that this is not true altruism, but a subtle form of self-assertion, a way of controlling others through their dependence. By constantly giving, the altruist creates a sense of obligation in the recipient, subtly wielding power through their generosity. This critique extends beyond individual acts of kindness to encompass entire moral systems, suggesting that even the most seemingly benevolent values can be instruments of power. Are our most cherished virtues simply sophisticated forms of manipulation? Nietzsche connected his critique of morality directly to the problem of nihilism. He believed that the decline of traditional morality, particularly the loss of faith in God and objective moral truths, had created a vacuum, leaving individuals without a sense of purpose or meaning. As the old values crumbled, nothing arose to take their place, leaving a spiritual void that threatened to engulf Western civilization. This loss of belief in objective moral truths can lead to a sense of existential despair, a feeling that life is ultimately pointless and without value. Imagine a sailor adrift at sea without a compass or stars to guide them, tossed about by the waves with no sense of direction or destination. This, according to Nietzsche, is the plight of modern man, adrift in a sea of meaninglessness, desperately searching for something to cling to. But how can we find our way in a world without inherent meaning? But Nietzsche's critique of morality isn't just about tearing down old systems. It's also about creating the possibility for new values to emerge. By exposing the historical and psychological underpinnings of our moral concepts, he sought to free individuals from the constraints of tradition, empowering them to create their own values and live more authentically. This destructive act makes space for creation. What new values could arise from the ashes of the old? The will to power, a concept central to Nietzsche's philosophy, is often misunderstood as a simple desire for domination or control over others. However, Nietzsche intended it to signify a more fundamental drive for growth, expansion, and self-overcoming, an inherent impulse to assert oneself and realize one's full potential. This isn't about trampling over others to achieve one's goals. It's about cultivating one's own strength, creativity, and vitality. Think of a plant striving towards the sunlight, not to dominate the other plants around it, but to fulfill its own inherent potential for growth. Similarly, the will to power in humans manifests in diverse forms, such as artistic creation, scientific discovery, athletic achievement, and the pursuit of knowledge. It's the driving force behind all human endeavors, the engine of progress and innovation. Is this drive always a positive force? Nietzsche saw the will to power as the underlying force behind all human actions and values. Even seemingly selfless acts, he argued, could be interpreted as expressions of this fundamental drive. Acts of charity or compassion, for example, might be seen as ways of affirming one's own value or sense of self, a way of experiencing oneself as powerful and effective in the world. Consider a doctor who dedicates their life to healing the sick, not out of a purely altruistic motive, but also out of a deep-seated need to feel competent, valuable, and in control of a chaotic world. Nietzsche wouldn't necessarily condemn this motivation. He would simply point out that even the most seemingly selfless acts are ultimately rooted in the will to power. This perspective challenges us to examine our own motivations, to question the purity of our intentions, and to recognize the complex interplay of forces that drive our behavior. Are we truly as selfless as we believe ourselves to be? Closely linked to the will to power is Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, or love of fate. This is not a passive acceptance of whatever life throws our way, but a deliberate embrace of one's destiny, including both its joys and its sorrows. Embracing one's fate, according to Nietzsche, is an essential aspect of affirming life and realizing one's will to power. Imagine a person who faces adversity with courage and resilience, not denying the pain or wishing things were different, but accepting their situation as an integral part of their life's journey. This is the spirit of amor fati, a willingness to say yes to everything that life brings, even the difficult and unpleasant experiences. This concept requires a radical shift in perspective, a move away from the desire for control and towards an acceptance of the inherent uncertainties and challenges of existence. Can we truly learn to love our fate, even the parts we would rather forget? It is crucial to challenge the common interpretation of the will to power as a justification for aggression or exploitation. While Nietzsche certainly admired strength and vitality, he did not advocate for a ruthless pursuit of power at the expense of others. Instead, he called for a more nuanced understanding of power as a creative and life-affirming force, a means of self-expression and self-realization. Nietzsche's vision of power is far removed from the social Darwinism that often invokes his name. He sought self-overcoming, not the subjugation of others. How can we harness the will to power for good, rather than allowing it to become a destructive force? But how can Nietzsche's life-affirming philosophy be reconciled with the potential for the will to power to be misinterpreted as a justification for domination? And how can we avoid falling into the trap of using Nietzsche's ideas to rationalize our own destructive impulses? Can a philosophy so focused on individual strength truly offer a path towards a more compassionate and just world? To truly grasp Nietzsche's vision for overcoming nihilism, we must turn to his thought experiment of eternal recurrence, a mind-bending challenge that forces us to confront the very essence of our existence. Imagine being confronted with the prospect of reliving your life, exactly as it is, with all its joys and sorrows, triumphs and failures, over and over again, for eternity. Would you embrace this prospect with joy, or would you recoil in horror? This, according to Nietzsche, is the ultimate test of whether you truly affirm your existence. This isn't simply a hypothetical scenario. It's a philosophical tool for self-reflection and value creation. Are you living a life that you would be willing to relive for eternity? The eternal recurrence forces us to confront our values and choices with unflinching honesty. Only those who truly embrace their lives, with all their imperfections and challenges, would be able to accept the prospect of eternal repetition. Consider the reaction of someone who is content with their life, who finds joy in the simple things, who strives to be a better person each day. They might welcome the eternal recurrence as a confirmation of their values, a testament to the meaningfulness of their existence. In contrast, someone who is filled with regret and dissatisfaction, who has lived a life of wasted opportunities and unfulfilled potential, might recoil in horror at the thought of reliving their life over and over again. The eternal recurrence serves as a mirror, reflecting back to us the true nature of our values and the quality of our choices. What does the prospect of eternal recurrence reveal about your own life? Nietzsche saw the eternal recurrence as a way of overcoming nihilism by affirming the inherent value of existence, even in the absence of objective meaning. If life has no inherent purpose, then it is up to us to create our own meaning, to find joy and value in the present moment, and to live in such a way that we would be willing to relive our lives for eternity. The eternal recurrence inspires us to live more authentically and purposefully, to make choices that are aligned with our deepest values, and to embrace the totality of our existence. It challenges us to move beyond the search for external validation and to find meaning within ourselves. This isn't about escaping the pain and suffering of life. It's about finding the beauty and value in every experience, even the difficult ones. Can we find meaning in a world without inherent purpose? Of course, the eternal recurrence is not without its critics. Some argue that it is an absurd and impractical idea, a philosophical fantasy with no basis in reality. Others question its value as a moral guide, arguing that it is too demanding and unrealistic. Nietzsche himself acknowledged that the eternal recurrence is a challenging and unsettling thought experiment. However, he insisted that it is not meant to be taken literally, but as a tool for self-reflection and value creation. It is a way of testing the strength and authenticity of our values, of pushing us to live more fully and purposefully. Even if the eternal recurrence is not a scientific possibility, it serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of living each moment to the fullest. Is the thought experiment absurd or transformative? How does this test, the eternal recurrence, guide us away from nihilism? The Übermensch, often translated as overman or superman, is Nietzsche's vision of a human being who transcends nihilism and creates their own values. This is not a literal being, but a symbol of human potential, a representation of what we might become if we fully embraced our will to power and lived according to our own self-created values. The Übermensch is not a superior race or a master class, but a higher stage of individual development that is open to anyone willing to undertake the difficult work of self-overcoming. The Übermensch embodies self-mastery, creativity, independence, and a willingness to embrace life's challenges. They create their own meaning and purpose in a world without inherent value, becoming the architects of their own existence. How do we become this Übermensch? This figure embodies the will to power in its most developed form, constantly striving to overcome limitations, to expand their horizons, and to create something new and valuable. The Übermensch is not bound by traditional morality or societal expectations, but instead follows their own internal compass, guided by their own self-created values. This isn't about rejecting all values, but about taking responsibility for creating one's own. How does the Übermensch create values? The Übermensch is willing to destroy old values in order to create new ones. This active nihilism is a necessary step in the process of self-overcoming, a way of clearing the ground for new growth. The Übermensch embraces the freedom to create their own values, rather than being bound by the constraints of tradition or societal norms. This contrasts sharply with the passive nihilist, who is paralyzed by meaninglessness, unable to find any value or purpose in life. The Übermensch actively engages with the world, shaping it according to their own vision, while the passive nihilist simply succumbs to despair. What distinguishes active from passive nihilism? It is crucial to address the common misconception of the Übermensch as a justification for authoritarianism or social inequality. Nietzsche's vision was ultimately individualistic, aimed at empowering individuals to create their own values and live authentically. He did not advocate for a master race or a social hierarchy, but for a society of free and independent individuals, each striving to realize their full potential. The idea that Nietzsche promoted a master race is a dangerous and unfounded misinterpretation of his philosophy. He was critical of all forms of herd mentality and conformity, advocating instead for individual self-expression and self-reliance. How has Nietzsche's philosophy been misinterpreted? With this concept of the Übermensch in mind, can we piece together Nietzsche's concepts of morality, will to power, and eternal recurrence? Nietzsche's philosophy can appear fragmented and complex, but these concepts, his critique of morality, the will to power, eternal recurrence, and the Übermensch, are interconnected and contribute to his overall project of overcoming nihilism. Each element builds upon the last, creating a framework for navigating a world without inherent meaning. His work follows a pattern of critique and reconstruction, dismantling existing systems of thought in order to create new possibilities for human flourishing. He sought to dismantle existing systems of thought in order to create new possibilities for human flourishing. Think back to his criticisms of traditional philosophy and religion. So, how can Nietzsche's ideas help us to create meaning in our own lives? What practical steps can we take to apply his philosophy to contemporary issues and personal challenges? The question then becomes, what does this mean for us, living in the 21st century? Nihilism, far from being an abstract philosophical concept, manifests in tangible ways across modern life. We see it in the pervasive sense of existential emptiness that plagues so many, a gnawing feeling that life lacks any objective meaning or purpose. This existential nihilism rears its head as a quiet, persistent hum of dissatisfaction, a sense that even in the midst of plenty, something essential is missing. Moral nihilism, the rejection of moral values, appears in our cynical attitudes toward politics, where corruption and self-interest seem to reign supreme. Epistemological nihilism, the skepticism about knowledge, erodes our trust in institutions and experts, leaving us adrift in a sea of misinformation and doubt. Consider the art world, where traditional standards of beauty and skill have been abandoned in favor of shock value and conceptual obscurity. Or look at social interactions, where apathy and disengagement often overshadow genuine connection and empathy. The consequences of this widespread nihilism are dire. It breeds feelings of despair and alienation, leaving individuals isolated and disconnected from one another. Motivation wanes, replaced by a sense of futility and resignation. Personal relationships suffer, as the belief that nothing truly matters undermines commitment and trust. Social fragmentation intensifies as shared values and beliefs erode, leaving us with a society increasingly divided and polarized. The individual spirals as they conclude that their work makes no difference, their relationships are ultimately meaningless, and their existence is devoid of inherent worth. The fabric of society, frays as shared values, unravel, leading to discord and an inability to find common ground. History offers stark reminders of how the erosion of shared beliefs can precipitate societal collapse. Have we reached such a breaking point? The rise of nihilism is not a random occurrence, but a consequence of specific historical and cultural forces. The decline of traditional religion, with its promise of eternal salvation and divinely ordained morality, has left a void in many people's lives. The rise of scientific rationalism, while offering unprecedented insights into the workings of the universe, has also stripped away the sense of mystery and wonder that once infused our world. Traumatic events, such as wars, economic crises, and social upheavals, have shattered people's faith in traditional values and institutions. Consider the aftermath of World War I, where the senseless slaughter and widespread destruction led to a profound sense of disillusionment and a rejection of the old order. Or the collapse of the Soviet Union, which left millions of people without a clear sense of identity or purpose. History provides stark warnings of the dangers of widespread nihilism and the importance of finding new sources of meaning and value. What are the alternatives? Various philosophical and cultural movements have attempted to address the challenge of nihilism with varying degrees of success. Existentialism, for example, emphasizes individual freedom and responsibility, urging individuals to create their own meaning in a meaningless world. Religious revivalism seeks to restore faith in traditional values and institutions, offering solace and a sense of belonging. But Nietzsche's approach differs significantly from both of these. He viewed nihilism not as a problem to be solved, but as a symptom of a deeper cultural crisis, a necessary stage in the process of human development. Unlike Albert Camus, who sought to find meaning in the face of absurdity, or Soren Kierkegaard, who advocated for a leap of faith, Nietzsche believed that we must first confront the reality of nihilism before we can hope to overcome it. How does Nietzsche's approach set him apart? For Nietzsche, nihilism wasn't a philosophy to be embraced, but a symptom of a profound cultural sickness, a sign that something was deeply wrong with Western civilization. He saw it as a consequence of the death of God, the decline of traditional religious beliefs, and the loss of faith in objective moral truths. This wasn't a cause for celebration, but a cause for concern. He believed that the loss of these traditional values had created a vacuum, leaving individuals without a sense of purpose or direction. This cultural crisis, according to Nietzsche, threatened to plunge humanity into a state of chaos and despair. Yet Nietzsche sought to understand the underlying causes of nihilism, believing that only by diagnosing the problem could we hope to find a cure. He saw it as a necessary, albeit dangerous, phase in the process of cultural transformation. What were the underlying causes? Nietzsche delved into the psychological roots of nihilism, identifying several key factors that contribute to its rise. Resentment, the festering feeling of bitterness and envy towards those who are perceived as more fortunate, can lead to a rejection of the values of the dominant culture. Guilt, particularly the kind of internalized guilt promoted by Christianity, can create a sense of self-loathing and a devaluation of life. The ascetic ideal, the belief that self-denial and renunciation are the highest virtues, can suppress our natural instincts and desires, leading to a sense of emptiness and meaninglessness. Consider how resentment fueled the French Revolution, or how the Christian emphasis on sin and guilt has shaped Western attitudes towards sexuality and the body. Nietzsche saw these psychological forces as undermining our vitality and our capacity for joy. Can we truly escape these psychological traps? Nietzsche also directed his critique at Platonism and Christianity, arguing that these traditions had contributed significantly to the rise of nihilism. He believed that Platonism, with its emphasis on a world of eternal forms, had devalued the earthly realm, creating a dualistic worldview that separated the soul from the body. Christianity, with its focus on otherworldly ideals and its promise of salvation in the afterlife, had further diminished the value of earthly existence. He saw these traditions as promoting a kind of life denial, encouraging individuals to turn away from the world and focus on abstract ideals. This devaluation of the earthly, the here and now, according to Nietzsche, inevitably leads to a sense of meaninglessness. Did these philosophical and religious traditions unintentionally pave the way for nihilism? Underlying all of these factors, Nietzsche argued, was the suppression of the will to power. He saw this fundamental drive for growth, expansion, and self-overcoming as the very essence of life. When this drive is suppressed, whether by societal norms, religious doctrines, or psychological factors, it leads to a sense of stagnation and a loss of vitality. The rejection of one's natural instincts and desires, the denial of one's own strength and creativity, can lead to a profound sense of emptiness and meaninglessness. Think of the artist who is forced to abandon their passion in order to conform to societal expectations, or the athlete who is told to suppress their competitive spirit. Nietzsche believed that this suppression of the will to power was a key cause of nihilism and the decline of Western civilization. Is it possible to redirect our will to power? Nietzsche's diagnosis paints a grim picture, yet within it lies a seed of hope. He suggests that nihilism, as terrible as it seems, is not the final destination, but a necessary transition, a destructive force that clears the way for creation. This is a pattern we've seen before: the demolition of old ideas, paving the path for new ones. How can destruction lead to something new? A crucial element of Nietzsche's philosophy is the distinction between active nihilism and passive nihilism. Passive nihilism is the simple acceptance of meaninglessness, a resignation to the belief that life is without value or purpose. Active nihilism, on the other hand, is the conscious destruction of old values in order to create new ones. It is a deliberate act of rebellion against the established order, a rejection of all that is considered sacred or untouchable. The passive nihilist succumbs to despair, while the active nihilist embraces the freedom to create their own meaning. Consider the difference between someone who simply complains about the state of the world and someone who actively works to change it. Nietzsche saw active nihilism as a necessary step towards self-overcoming. What are some real-world examples of active and passive nihilism? Nietzsche viewed passive nihilism as a dangerous and debilitating force, leading to apathy, resentment, and a decline of vitality. It is the path of stagnation and despair, a surrender to the forces of meaninglessness. Active nihilism, however, he saw as a liberating and empowering force, a way of breaking free from the constraints of tradition and creating new possibilities for human flourishing. It is the path of creativity and self-discovery, a courageous embrace of the freedom to define one's own values. Passive nihilism might manifest in political disengagement, a lack of interest in personal growth, or a general sense of ennui. Active nihilism, conversely, can lead to revolutionary movements, artistic innovation, or a passionate commitment to personal transformation. How do these two paths diverge in practice? Active nihilism is closely linked to Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the individual who transcends nihilism and creates their own values. The Übermensch is an active nihilist who is willing to challenge and overcome traditional values in order to create their own meaning and purpose. The Übermensch embodies the will to power in its most developed form, actively shaping their own destiny and creating their own values. This isn't about selfishness or disregard for others. It's about taking responsibility for one's own life and creating something meaningful in a world without inherent meaning. The Übermensch is not bound by the constraints of conventional morality, but guided by a deeper sense of self-awareness and a commitment to life affirmation. What does this mean for the way we live our lives? However, active nihilism is not without its dangers. There is a risk of sliding into moral relativism, where anything is permitted and all values are equally valid. There is also the potential for justifying destructive behaviors in the name of self-expression or personal freedom. Nietzsche recognized these dangers and cautioned against a reckless or irresponsible form of active nihilism. He advocated for a self-aware and disciplined approach, one that is guided by a commitment to life and creativity. Active nihilism should not be used to justify violence, exploitation, or the oppression of others. It should be a tool for personal growth and the creation of new and life-affirming values. How can we avoid the pitfalls of active nihilism? The distinction between active and passive nihilism reframes Nietzsche's philosophy. It's not about succumbing to meaninglessness, but about actively creating meaning in its absence. It's about recognizing the power within ourselves to challenge, to question, and to build anew. The question then becomes not, is there meaning, but what meaning will I create? It's a shift from despair to empowerment. How do we start building? Nietzsche's project of overcoming nihilism hinges on a radical reevaluation of all values, a wholesale questioning of everything we hold dear. He urged us to dismantle the old idols, to challenge the conventional wisdom, and to forge new values grounded in life affirmation, creativity, and self-overcoming. This isn't about simply swapping one set of values for another. It's about fundamentally rethinking the very basis of our moral and ethical beliefs. He challenged traditional values like altruism and self-sacrifice, suggesting they often mask deeper motivations, and proposed values like self-reliance and creativity, which empower individuals to shape their own lives. This revaluation isn't a passive acceptance of new dogma, but an active, ongoing process of self-discovery. What serves life? Central to this revaluation is Nietzsche's concept of perspectivism, the idea that all knowledge and values are interpretations, shaped by our individual perspectives and experiences. There is no objective, God's-eye view of the world, no universal standard for judging the worth of our beliefs. Each individual, each culture, each historical period has its own unique perspective, its own set of values. This doesn't mean that all perspectives are equally valid, but it does mean that we must be aware of the limitations of our own perspective and be open to considering alternative viewpoints. Consider how different cultures view concepts like honor, success, or happiness. There is no single correct answer. It all depends on your perspective. What are the implications of this perspectivism? This re-evaluation of values is inextricably linked to the will to power. Nietzsche argued that value creation is itself an expression of the will to power, a way of affirming one's own existence and shaping the world according to one's own vision. The act of creating art, pursuing a meaningful goal, or striving to become a better person can all be seen as expressions of the will to power, a way of imbuing the world with meaning and value. This isn't about imposing one's will on others, but about realizing one's own potential and contributing something unique to the world. Creating art, for example, allows the artist to express their unique perspective and imbue the world with beauty. Pursuing a meaningful goal gives purpose and direction to one's life. How do we express our will to power through value creation? The challenge of creating values in a world without inherent meaning can seem daunting, even overwhelming. But Nietzsche believed that this challenge is not a burden, but an opportunity. It is an opportunity to exercise our creativity, to shape our own destinies, and to live authentically according to our own self-created values. The absence of objective meaning is not a cause for despair, but a source of freedom and empowerment. We are no longer bound by the constraints of tradition or societal norms. We are free to create our own values and live in accordance with them. This is a daunting task, but it is also an exhilarating one. How do we embrace this freedom? In essence, Nietzsche's prescription for overcoming nihilism involves acknowledging the death of old values, understanding the psychological roots of meaninglessness, embracing active nihilism to clear the ground, and then courageously creating new, life-affirming values from the ashes. It's a process of destruction and creation, a dance between despair and hope. It's a journey of self-discovery and self-overcoming. The key, it seems, is to take responsibility for our own existence and to embrace the freedom to create our own meaning. But where do we begin this daunting task of value creation? What practical steps can we take to start living a more authentic and meaningful life, guided by our own self-created values? Before we delve into these practicalities, we must first confront a significant obstacle: the pervasive misinterpretations of Nietzsche's philosophy. Too often, Nietzsche is portrayed as a prophet of nihilism, a champion of ruthless power, and an advocate for a master race. These caricatures, fueled by historical misuse and superficial readings, obscure the true depth and complexity of his thought. Consider, for example, the appropriation of Nietzsche's ideas by the Nazi regime, which twisted his concepts of the will to power and the Übermensch to justify their own racist and expansionist agenda. This historical distortion has cast a long shadow over Nietzsche's legacy, making it difficult for many to approach his work with an open mind. How can we move beyond these distorted images and engage with Nietzsche's philosophy on its own terms? The key lies in returning to Nietzsche's original writings and engaging with them critically and thoughtfully. A careful reading reveals that Nietzsche was not an advocate for nihilism, but a diagnostician of it. He recognized the dangers of meaninglessness and sought to find ways to overcome it. He emphasized the importance of individual self-overcoming, the cultivation of creativity, and the affirmation of life in all its complexity. Far from promoting a philosophy of domination, Nietzsche saw the will to power as an inherent drive for growth, self-expression, and the realization of one's potential. To truly grasp Nietzsche's meaning, one must read beyond popular summaries and engage with his nuanced arguments directly. Passages in Thus Spoke Zarathustra reveal a deep concern for human potential and self-discovery, not the propagation of dominance. How does this careful reading change our understanding? Furthermore, Nietzsche's critique of morality was not a rejection of all values, but a call for a re-evaluation of values based on their life-affirming qualities. He distinguished between noble and base values, favoring those that promote strength, creativity, and vitality, while rejecting those that promote weakness, resentment, and stagnation. He challenged the traditional morality of Christianity, which he saw as promoting a kind of self-denial and a devaluation of earthly existence. But he did not simply advocate for a reversal of these values. Instead, he urged individuals to create their own values, based on their own unique experiences and aspirations. He argued that true morality should be grounded in a love of life and a commitment to self-overcoming. This perspective corrects a misunderstanding, revealing Nietzsche not as a destroyer of morals, but as a reevaluator urging a return to life-affirming principles. What does a life-affirming value system look like? This misunderstood image of Nietzsche is directly connected to the problem of nihilism. Misinterpreting his philosophy can lead to a deeper sense of meaninglessness and despair, a cynical rejection of all values, rather than a creative reevaluation. If one only grasps the surface level of his critique without understanding his call to create new values, nihilism's grasp can tighten. For example, someone might latch onto his critique of religion and conclude that there's no meaning in life, missing his emphasis on crafting one's own purpose. Therefore, truly understanding Nietzsche's intent is key to navigating nihilism, not succumbing to it. How can we actively begin to reshape our values? One of the most central themes in Nietzsche's philosophy, which provides a response, is the concept of self-overcoming, Selbstüberwindung. This involves constantly challenging oneself, pushing beyond one's limitations, and striving for personal growth. It's a continuous process of becoming, of surpassing one's current self and striving for something more. Self-overcoming is not about achieving a final state of perfection, but about embracing the journey of transformation. Think of an athlete who constantly pushes their physical limits, or an artist who experiments with new techniques and styles. These are both examples of self-overcoming in action. How can we apply this to our own lives? Self-overcoming is intimately connected to Nietzsche's concept of the will to power. It's the engine that drives us to grow, to create, and to become more than we are. It is not merely about dominating others, but about mastering oneself and realizing one's potential. The act of overcoming a personal weakness or addiction, for instance, is a powerful expression of the will to power. It demonstrates our capacity to shape our own lives and to overcome obstacles in our path. Consider the recovering addict who transforms their life through sheer willpower, or the shy individual who learns to speak confidently in public. These are triumphs of the will to power in action. Can we channel this will to power for self-improvement? This process of self-overcoming is essential for creating one's own values. Individuals must be willing to challenge traditional values and create new ones that are aligned with their own unique experiences and aspirations. Artists, scientists, and entrepreneurs often challenge conventional wisdom and create new values through their innovative work. For instance, a scientist who challenges established theories and proposes a new paradigm is engaging in self-overcoming and value creation. Similarly, an entrepreneur who creates a new product or service is creating value for others and shaping the world in their own image. Self-overcoming isn't just personal, it has the power to reshape our world. In this act of self-overcoming, we see the pattern of destruction at play, but this time it is internal, personal. It's not just about dismantling external societal values, but also confronting and overcoming our own internal limitations, tying together the themes of value destruction and creation. Are you ready to confront your limitations? To engage in self-overcoming, consider setting challenging goals that stretch your abilities, embrace discomfort as a sign of growth, and cultivate a growth mindset that sees setbacks as opportunities for learning. Deliberately step outside your comfort zone, take on a project that seems daunting, learn a new skill, or confront a fear. Each step, no matter how small, builds resilience and expands your capacity for self-mastery. One might start by setting a goal to read one book a week, learning to play a musical instrument, or committing to a regular exercise routine. These small acts of self-discipline can have a profound impact on your overall sense of self-efficacy. How can we further cultivate this inner strength? Another powerful concept in Nietzsche's philosophy is amor fati, the love of fate. This involves accepting and embracing everything that has happened in one's life, both the good and the bad. It's about recognizing that everything that has happened to us, including our suffering and our mistakes, has shaped us into who we are today. Individuals who have faced trauma or adversity can find meaning and purpose by embracing their experiences and integrating them into their life story. A person who loses a job and uses the opportunity to start their own business is embracing amor fati. It's not about passively accepting hardship, but actively choosing to find value within it. Where can we find value in our past? Amor fati is not simply passive resignation, but an active affirmation of life. It involves taking responsibility for one's choices and finding value in every moment. It's not a fatalistic attitude that sees life as predetermined and beyond one's control. It's about recognizing your power to respond to what life throws at you. Contrast amor fati with someone who blames their misfortunes on external circumstances, refusing to take ownership of their life. That individual is not embracing their fate, but fighting against it. Amor fati requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to embrace the totality of your experience. How can you start practicing amor fati? Amor fati is also essential for being able to affirm the prospect of reliving one's life exactly as it is, eternally Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence. Embracing one's fate is essential for being able to affirm the prospect of reliving one's life exactly as it is, eternally. If you cannot embrace your past, with all its joys and sorrows, then you cannot truly embrace the prospect of living it again and again. It's about overcoming regret and finding peace with your past. Embracing amor fati allows you to approach the eternal recurrence not with dread, but with joyful acceptance. From the understanding we have now expanded by illustrating amor fati, we know that it is not resignation, but active participation in one's own life. How does this concept change your perspective? To cultivate amor fati, practice gratitude for the good things in your life, accept your imperfections, and reframe negative experiences as opportunities for growth. Try journaling daily, listing things you are thankful for, and identifying lessons learned from challenging situations. Consider meditating on your past, accepting it without judgment, and recognizing its role in shaping who you are today. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but rather understanding how those experiences have contributed to your growth. Are you ready to accept your whole self? All of these concepts ultimately emphasize the importance of individual responsibility. Nietzsche believed individuals must take responsibility for their own values, beliefs, and actions, not blame others or seek external validation. Someone who takes responsibility for their choices is more likely to find meaning and purpose in life than someone who blames their problems on external forces. This emphasis on individual responsibility sets Nietzsche apart from ideologies that emphasize collective identity or external authority. How does this differ from collectivist thought? The Übermensch is, in essence, a self-responsible individual who creates their own values and shapes their own destiny. The Übermensch embodies the qualities of self-reliance, creativity, and independence, serving as a model for individual potential. The Übermensch recognizes that they are the author of their own life, not a puppet of fate. Therefore, individual responsibility requires both action, self-overcoming, and acceptance, amor fati. It is through this synthesis of action and acceptance that we can truly take ownership of our lives and create our own meaning. How can one embody both action and acceptance? To cultivate individual responsibility, set clear goals, take ownership of your mistakes, and practice self-discipline. Break down your goals into actionable steps, acknowledge your errors without making excuses, and commit to consistent effort. This means developing a sense of personal accountability, holding yourself to high standards, and refusing to let external circumstances dictate your choices. When you stumble, own your mistakes, learn from them, and move forward with renewed determination. Are you ready to embrace this challenge? Nietzsche's philosophy remains profoundly relevant for contemporary society. His ideas provide a framework for navigating nihilism and finding meaning in a world without inherent purpose. They offer tools for coping with existential anxieties, building resilience, and cultivating a sense of purpose. His emphasis on self-expression, creativity, and personal empowerment resonates with contemporary movements that prioritize authenticity. But how do we translate these grand ideas into our daily existence? Consider how Nietzsche's emphasis on self-creation aligns with the current cultural trends emphasizing individualism, the questioning of traditional values, and the search for authenticity. How can we apply Nietzsche's ideals to these trends? We can do this by embracing self-overcoming, practicing amor fati, and taking responsibility for creating our own values. As we approach the conclusion of our exploration of Nietzsche and nihilism, remember that actionable steps and real-world applications are still to come. The journey of understanding Nietzsche is not an end in itself, but a gateway to a more meaningful and authentic existence. So stay tuned, for in the final act, we'll bridge the gap between philosophical insight and practical transformation. 19. The path to authenticity. Discovering your true self. The threads of self-overcoming, amor fati, and individual responsibility converge on a singular path. Authenticity. Authenticity, in the Nietzschean sense, is not merely about being true to yourself in a superficial way. It's about actively creating yourself, aligning your actions with your self-created values, and living in accordance with your own unique will to power. It is a rejection of herd morality, which Nietzsche saw as a force that stifles individual expression and hinders self-discovery. Consider the artist who defies conventional expectations and creates work that is true to their own vision, or the entrepreneur who pursues a unique path despite facing criticism and doubt. These individuals embody authenticity in action. But how do we embark on this path of self-creation? Discovering your true self involves a continuous process of self-reflection, self-acceptance, and self-expression. It requires a deep dive into your own values, beliefs, and desires, and a willingness to challenge the assumptions that have been imposed upon you by society, culture, or family. This is the first step in value creation. Discovering your values, not just adopting pre-packaged ones. It's about becoming aware of your own unique strengths and weaknesses and embracing both with honesty and compassion. It is about understanding your intrinsic motivations. Journaling can be an effective tool for self-reflection, providing a space to explore your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Meditation can help you to connect with your inner self and cultivate a sense of mindfulness. Spending time in nature can provide a sense of perspective and help you to reconnect with your own sense of purpose. How can we begin to peel back the layers of societal conditioning? One crucial step is to identify and challenge limiting beliefs and values that may be hindering your authenticity. These are often deeply ingrained patterns of thought that prevent you from fully expressing yourself and living in alignment with your true values. Common limiting beliefs might include, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve happiness, or I need to please everyone. These beliefs can prevent you from taking risks, pursuing your passions, and living a fulfilling life. Nietzsche urged a re-evaluation of all values, including those we hold most dear. Examine the origins of these beliefs. Were they imposed upon you? Do they truly serve you? Where did these values come from? Living authentically requires integrity and congruence. Your actions must align with your values and beliefs. This doesn't mean striving for an impossible ideal of perfection. It means being honest with yourself and others about your values and making conscious choices that reflect those values. This can be challenging, especially when faced with social pressure or conflicting obligations. But it is through these challenges that we develop our character and strengthen our commitment to living authentically. Nietzsche called for a dangerous life, one lived on the edge of our own limitations, constantly challenging ourselves. Start small and work your way up. choose to spend time with loved ones over superficial acquaintances, pursue a passion project, or stand up for a cause you believe in? How can we begin to close the gap between our ideals and our actions? 20. Beyond good and evil. Navigating the opinions of others, the pursuit of authenticity, inevitably brings us face to face with the challenge of navigating the opinions of others. Societal pressures often push individuals to conform to certain norms and expectations, which can hinder their ability to live authentically. How can we reconcile our desire for social acceptance with our need to express our own unique individuality? Nietzsche addressed this dilemma in Beyond Good and Evil, where he argued that individuals must create their own values, independent of societal approval. He challenged the traditional notions of good and evil, urging individuals to move beyond these limiting categories and embrace their own unique perspectives. Nietzsche's perspectivism offers a valuable tool for navigating the opinions of others. Perspectivism suggests that there is no objective truth, only different perspectives, each shaped by our own unique experiences and biases. Therefore, other people's opinions are subjective, not necessarily reflective of objective truth. This understanding can help us to detach from the need for external validation and focus on internal validation. Strategies for dealing with criticism include focusing on your own values, seeking support from like-minded individuals, and practicing self-compassion. Remember that criticism often reveals more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. How can we learn to value our own opinions above the opinions of others? Setting boundaries is critical for protecting yourself from toxic or negative influences. This involves identifying and disengaging from relationships or situations that are draining or harmful, and cultivating relationships that are supportive and empowering. Remember Nietzsche's emphasis on self-preservation and the will to power. You have a responsibility to protect your own well-being and to surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. This can be a difficult process, but it is essential for maintaining your authenticity and pursuing your own path. Learn to say no to requests that compromise your values or drain your energy, and prioritize relationships with people who support your growth and self-expression. Are you prepared to defend your boundaries? Communicating your values and beliefs to others in a clear and assertive manner is also important, while respecting their right to hold different opinions. This requires intellectual honesty and courageous self-expression. You don't need to force others to agree with you, but you can express your own perspective in a way that is authentic and respectful. Effective communication techniques include using I statements, listening actively, and finding common ground. Remember that you are not responsible for changing other people's minds, but you are responsible for expressing your own truth. How can we speak our truth without imposing it on others? This creates a tension between the need for social acceptance and living authentically, raising the stakes as viewers consider how to apply Nietzsche's philosophy in their daily lives. The need for acceptance is a powerful force, but so is the human spirit's need for individual expression. The process of reconciling these two forces is where the seeds of nihilism can either take root or be overcome. 21. The will to fail. Embracing imperfection and learning from mistakes. Embracing failure and learning from mistakes is a necessary part of self-overcoming and growth. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power suggests that we must constantly challenge ourselves, pushing beyond our limitations and striving for personal growth. This process inevitably involves setbacks and failures. It's crucial to shift our perspective and view these failures not as defeats, but as opportunities for learning and growth. Consider successful entrepreneurs, artists, or scientists. They have often experienced numerous failures before achieving their goals. Thomas Edison famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. These failures shaped their success, providing valuable insights and strengthening their resolve. How can we reframe our failures as stepping stones? Nietzsche's Amor Fati can help us accept our imperfections and view mistakes as opportunities for learning and growth. This is not a passive acceptance of defeat, but an active reframing of negative experiences. It's about recognizing that our mistakes are an integral part of our life story and that they have shaped us into who we are today. Strategies for reframing negative experiences include focusing on what you have learned, practicing gratitude for the lessons learned, and viewing failures as temporary setbacks. Try keeping a failure journal where you document your mistakes and the insights you have gained from them. This can help you to develop a more positive and resilient mindset. Can we learn to love our mistakes? Developing a growth mindset is essential for embracing failure and learning from mistakes. A growth mindset involves believing that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning, while a fixed mindset involves believing that your abilities are innate and cannot be changed. A growth mindset fosters resilience and perseverance, allowing you to bounce back from setbacks and challenges. Contrast the student who gives up after failing a test, fixed mindset, with the student who studies harder and seeks help from a tutor, growth mindset. The growth mindset is a key ingredient for self-overcoming. Are you cultivating a growth mindset? To cultivate resilience, practice self-compassion, self-care, and seek support from others. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes, and treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer to a friend. Engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, such as spending time in nature, listening to music, or practicing mindfulness. And don't be afraid to reach out to others for support when you are struggling. Cultivating a strong support network can provide valuable emotional support and practical assistance. Embracing failure is itself a form of active nihilism, destroying the conventional idea that failure should be avoided. It's part of the larger pattern of destruction creation that Nietzsche advocates. How can we build a life where failure doesn't hold us back? 22. Creative expression. Finding meaning through art and innovation, creativity and self-expression play a crucial role in overcoming nihilism and finding meaning in life. These activities provide a sense of purpose, fulfillment, and connection to something larger than oneself. Art, in particular, allows us to transcend the limitations of reason and morality and to express our deepest emotions and experiences. Nietzsche saw art as a powerful force for life affirmation, a means of celebrating the beauty and complexity of existence. Creative expression is more than making things. It is a fundamental aspect of living an authentic life. Nietzsche believed art can challenge social norms, express individuality, and create new forms of beauty and meaning. Consider artists like Frida Kahlo, who used her paintings to explore themes of identity, pain, and resilience, or musicians like Bob Dylan, who used his songs to challenge social injustice and inspire social change. Creative expression is meaning creation. You might start by experimenting with different artistic mediums, such as painting, writing, music, or dance. The goal is not to become a master artist, but to explore your own creativity and express yourself in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling. How can art help us create meaning? Cultivating creativity involves practice, experimentation, and self-discovery. Everyone has the potential to be creative, regardless of their skills or talents. It's about tapping into your imagination, taking risks, and allowing yourself to make mistakes. Practical exercises for stimulating creativity include brainstorming, freewriting, or experimenting with different artistic mediums. Try setting aside a specific time each day for creative activities, and don't be afraid to experiment with new techniques and styles. The key is to embrace the process of creation, rather than focusing on the end result. Are you ready to embrace your inner artist? Share your creative work with others in a way that is authentic and meaningful, while also being open to feedback and criticism. This can be a vulnerable process, but it is also a rewarding one. Sharing your work allows you to connect with others, inspire them with your vision, and receive valuable feedback that can help you to grow as an artist. Tips for presenting your work include focusing on the message, connecting with the audience, and being open to constructive criticism. Remember the earlier discussion about navigating the opinions of others. Not everyone will appreciate your work, and that's okay. The most important thing is to stay true to your own vision and to create work that is meaningful to you. How can our creativity help to connect us to others? 23. Building resilience. Thriving in the face of adversity, resilience is essential for thriving in the face of adversity and overcoming nihilism. It involves cultivating a sense of hope, optimism, and perseverance, and developing the ability to bounce back from setbacks and challenges. Resilience is not about avoiding suffering, but about finding meaning and purpose in the midst of it. Nietzsche's philosophy can help cultivate resilience. Concepts like self-overcoming, amor fati, and the will to power provide a framework for understanding suffering, finding meaning in adversity, and embracing the challenges of life. That which does not kill us makes us stronger, Nietzsche wrote. His work provides invaluable tools for developing a more resilient mindset. Building resilience also requires specific practices. Practicing mindfulness, cultivating positive relationships, and setting realistic goals can strengthen one's capacity to cope with stress and adversity. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment, which can help you to manage stress and cultivate a sense of inner peace. Positive relationships provide valuable emotional support and a sense of belonging, and realistic goals give you a sense of purpose and direction. How can mindfulness exercises cultivate resilience? Seeking support from others when facing adversity and being a source of support for others in need is crucial for developing resilience. We are social creatures, and we thrive when we are connected to others. If you're struggling with difficult times, reach out to family, friends, or a therapist for support. By seeking and offering support, we can build stronger communities and foster a sense of collective resilience. Is it okay to need others? Ultimately, resilience synthesizes self-knowledge, action, and acceptance. It's an ongoing process, not a destination. It requires us to be honest with ourselves about our strengths and weaknesses, to take action to improve our lives, and to accept the things that we cannot change. Embracing resilience combines self-knowledge, action, and acceptance, showing the viewer that it's an ongoing process of growth and discovery. As we continue, we move towards understanding how these factors contribute to a greater sense of meaning. 24. The danger of resentment. Overcoming bitterness and finding forgiveness. While resilience fortifies us against external pressures, an internal enemy can sabotage our progress. Ressentiment. Nietzsche identified ressentiment as a potent and insidious force that can undermine our ability to embrace life and create our own values. Ressentiment is a French word that translates roughly to resentment, but it carries a deeper meaning in Nietzsche's philosophy. It's a complex psychological state characterized by feelings of powerlessness, envy, and bitterness towards those perceived as superior. It festers in the hearts of those who feel unable to achieve what they desire, leading to a deep-seated resentment of those who possess the qualities or advantages they lack. Imagine a struggling artist who envies the success of a more established artist, or an employee who resents their boss's authority. These feelings of envy and bitterness can poison their minds, preventing them from focusing on their own goals and cultivating their own talents. How can ressentiment warp our perception of reality? Ressentiment isn't just simple envy. It's a breeding ground for destructive thoughts and actions. Nietzsche argued that ressentiment was a driving force behind what he called slave morality. Slave morality arises when those who feel oppressed and powerless create a system of values that denigrates the virtues of the powerful, such as strength, ambition, and independence. Instead, slave morality elevates qualities like humility, compassion, and self-sacrifice, not out of genuine virtue, but as a way to cope with their own feelings of inadequacy. Consider how certain social or political movements might demonize successful entrepreneurs as greedy or uncaring, while glorifying those who are perceived as victims of injustice. This isn't to say that all social justice movements are driven by ressentiment, but it illustrates how this insidious emotion can distort our perception of reality and lead to a devaluation of life itself. Nietzsche saw this inversion of values as a dangerous consequence of ressentiment, as it ultimately undermines the very foundations of a healthy and thriving society. Is our moral outrage sometimes just thinly veiled ressentiment? Overcoming ressentiment is no easy task, as it requires a deep level of self-awareness and a willingness to confront our own negative emotions. One of the most effective strategies is to practice self-compassion. This involves treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer to a friend who is struggling. It means acknowledging your imperfections and accepting yourself as a work in progress. Cultivating gratitude is another powerful tool for combating ressentiment. Focusing on the positive aspects of your life and appreciating what you already have can shift your perspective and diminish feelings of envy and bitterness. Perhaps keep a gratitude journal where you regularly list things you are thankful for. It also requires refocusing on your own strengths and accomplishments, rather than dwelling on your perceived weaknesses and failures. What is one small action we can take today to diminish the power of ressentiment? Forgiveness, both of oneself and of others, plays a crucial role in overcoming ressentiment and finding inner serenity. Forgiveness does not condone harmful behavior, but it means releasing yourself from the grip of bitterness and resentment. Nelson Mandela, after enduring decades of unjust imprisonment, emerged not with hatred, but with a message of forgiveness and reconciliation. His ability to forgive his oppressors was not merely an act of moral courage, but a testament to the transformative power of forgiveness. To forgive doesn't mean to forget. It means consciously choosing to release the negative emotions that are holding you hostage. It's a conscious act of self-liberation, freeing you to move forward. Can forgiveness truly break the chains of the past? 25. The illusion of objective truth. Embracing perspectivism and intellectual honesty, Nietzsche's perspectivism challenges the very notion of objective truth, forcing us to confront the limitations of our own perspectives. Perspectivism suggests that there is no single, God's-eye view of the world. All knowledge, beliefs, and values are interpretations, shaped by our individual experiences, biases, and cultural backgrounds. Imagine two people witnessing the same event, such as a political protest. One person may view it as a legitimate expression of dissent, while the other may see it as a dangerous act of rebellion. Their differing perspectives are influenced by their political ideologies, their personal experiences with authority, and their cultural values. Does a truly objective account of the protest even exist? Or is reality always filtered through a subjective lens? Embracing perspectivism fosters intellectual honesty and humility. It encourages us to acknowledge the limitations of our own perspectives and to be open to learning from others who hold different views. This means actively seeking out diverse voices and perspectives, engaging in critical thinking, and questioning our own assumptions. Consider the value of a diverse classroom, where students from different backgrounds and cultures can share their unique perspectives on history, literature, and current events. This kind of intellectual exchange can broaden our understanding of the world and challenge our preconceived notions. Are we willing to challenge our own assumptions? Living in a world without objective truth presents both challenges and opportunities. It requires us to take responsibility for our own beliefs and actions, recognizing that we are the authors of our own values. There is a risk of moral relativism, where individuals may justify any action by claiming that it is simply a matter of personal opinion. To counter this, we must develop our own ethical frameworks based on reason, empathy, and a commitment to the well-being of ourselves and others. This demands rigorous self-examination. In the absence of objective truth, what guides our choices? Perspectivism isn't passive acceptance, it is an active force. The act of interpreting the world, creating values, and choosing beliefs is an expression of the will to power. Artists, scientists, and philosophers, driven by their will to power, use their unique perspectives to challenge conventional wisdom and create new ways of seeing the world. Think of how Marie Curie challenged the prevailing scientific theories of her time to discover radioactivity, or how Pablo Picasso shattered traditional artistic conventions to create Cubism. Each of them, in their own unique way, demonstrated that the drive to create, analyze, and interpret is a manifestation of the will to power, enriching society with new forms of expression. Can we use our own perspectives to create something meaningful? 26. The trap of herd mentality. Cultivating independence and critical thinking, Nietzsche warned against the dangers of herd mentality, the tendency to conform to the beliefs and behaviors of the majority without critical thought. Herd mentality stifles individuality, hinders self-discovery, and undermines our ability to create our own values. Social media amplifies herd mentality, as algorithms curate content that reinforces our existing beliefs, creating echo chambers where dissenting voices are silenced. Consider how easily misinformation can spread through social media, as people share articles and memes without verifying their accuracy. How can we break free from the echo chamber? Independence of thought and critical thinking are crucial for resisting herd mentality and creating our own values. This involves questioning assumptions, evaluating evidence, and considering alternative perspectives. Develop these habits, challenge your own biases, seek out diverse sources of information, and engage in respectful dialogue with people who hold different views. Try reading books from authors with diverse backgrounds, watch documentaries that challenge your assumptions, or participate in discussions with people who have different political views. Remember perspectivism. Cultivating intellectual curiosity is a powerful tool for resisting herd mentality. Are we prepared to challenge the status quo? Seeking out diverse voices helps us avoid echo chambers. Engaging with those who hold different views expands our understanding of the world while forcing us to defend our own beliefs. This process, while sometimes uncomfortable, is essential for intellectual growth and the development of independent thought. Actively seeking out people, ideas, and works that challenge our preconceived notions also expands our perspective and enables us to reevaluate our values. Can we truly claim to be open-minded if we only listen to those who agree with us? Thinking for oneself is an expression of the will to power. To resist the urge to simply adopt the values of others and to create our own is an affirmation of our individuality. Individuals who challenge the status quo and express their own unique perspectives inspire others to do the same. Martin Luther King, Jr., in the face of systemic racism and oppression, dared to dream of a world where people would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. His courage and conviction inspired millions to challenge the status quo and fight for social justice. In what small way can we express our independence of thought today? 27. The joy of creation. Finding purpose in meaningful work, creativity, self-expression, and value creation converge in the pursuit of meaningful work. Meaningful work, whether art, science, entrepreneurship, or helping others, provides fulfillment and connection. Work aligned with our values becomes a source of purpose. Consider Dr. Jane Goodall, who dedicated her life to studying chimpanzees and advocating for conservation, or Malala Yousafzai, who risked her life to fight for girls' education. Their work has not only made a positive impact on the world, but has also provided them with a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. What kind of impact do we want to make on the world? Nietzsche saw art as a potent force for affirming life and transcending reason and morality. Art challenges social norms, expresses individuality, and creates meaning. Think of Maya Angelou, who used her writing to explore themes of identity, trauma, and resilience, or Lin-Manuel Miranda, who used his musical Hamilton to reimagine American history and spark conversations about race, immigration, and national identity. They're expressions of creativity and value creation. Art transforms by enriching lives and challenging assumptions. How can our creative pursuits contribute to our purpose? To align work with values, find the intersection of passions, skills, and societal needs. Explore the ways your skills can serve a purpose aligned with your beliefs. Volunteer for causes, support ethical businesses, or advocate for change. Reflect on your values and consider how you can incorporate them into your daily work. If you value environmental sustainability, you might seek out a job in the renewable energy sector, or simply make a conscious effort to reduce your carbon footprint in your current workplace. If you value social justice, you might volunteer for a non-profit organization that provides legal services to low-income communities, or advocate for policies that promote equality and opportunity. How can we use our work to promote values? Creating something of value is an expression of the will to power. Those passionate about their work tend to be more resilient, creative, and successful. Elon Musk's pursuit of sustainable energy and space exploration, driven by a desire to solve global challenges, exemplifies the will to power. But meaningful work is not the ultimate solution to nihilism. Even the most fulfilling career can't fully answer the existential questions. Many people find themselves feeling empty despite achieving professional success. Are we placing too much emphasis on work as a source of meaning? The next section will explore what truly matters and what to do if we can't find it in our work. 28. Finding your calling. Practical strategies for meaningful work. Many recognize aligning their work with their values as essential, but translating this into reality demands proactive steps. A good starting point is undertaking informational interviews. Connect with individuals in fields that pique your interest and ask them about their experiences, challenges, and rewards. Their insights can provide invaluable clarity. Supplement these discussions with skills assessments to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Numerous online platforms offer free or low-cost assessments to pinpoint your aptitudes and areas for development. Another powerful method involves engaging in volunteer work within sectors you're contemplating. It provides hands-on experience, allowing you to test the waters before committing to a career change. Consider volunteering at a local environmental organization if you're passionate about sustainability, or offering your skills to a social enterprise if you're driven by social impact. The knowledge gained will be invaluable. How can you start exploring potential career paths today? A useful framework for pinpointing fulfilling work comes from the Japanese concept of ikigai, the convergence of what you love, what you excel at, what the world requires, and what you can receive compensation for. It serves as a compass. Begin by creating a 4-quadrant diagram, labeling each quadrant with one of the 4 elements of ikigai. Then brainstorm answers to the questions associated with each quadrant. What activities genuinely excite you? What are you naturally good at? What problems can you solve for others? What skills are in demand in the marketplace? The sweet spot in the center, where all 4 overlap, is your ikigai. It may require some honest self-reflection. What steps will you take to find your sweet spot? Finding a job, or birthing one, that mirrors your values demands a strategic approach, beginning with networking and building solid, long-term relationships. Actively participate in industry events, both online and in person, to connect with professionals who share your interests. Cultivate authentic relationships by offering value to others and demonstrating genuine interest in their work. Don't hesitate to leverage social media platforms like LinkedIn to connect with people in your field and join relevant groups. Remember, networking is not just about what you can get from others, but about what you can contribute. Can you cultivate genuine connections? Many hurdles impede finding meaningful work: insufficient pay, scarce opportunities, or fear of embracing risk. These challenges are real, but surmountable with creative problem-solving. Negotiate your salary by researching industry standards and highlighting your unique skills and accomplishments. If full-time opportunities are limited, consider freelancing or starting a side hustle that aligns with your values. For example, offer your writing skills to environmental organizations or develop a sustainable product to sell online. Don't let fear paralyze you. Embrace experimentation. What small step can you take today to overcome your fears? Aligning your actions with your values is the first step, but without practical actions, your dreams will remain just dreams. 29. Unleashing your creativity. Overcoming the fear of failure beyond external obstacles, internal anxieties often hinder creative pursuits. Perhaps the biggest of these, particularly for those seeking to break from herd mentality, is the fear of judgment. Many worry about how others will perceive their work, holding back from expressing their unique voice. Another major impediment is the belief that you're not good enough. Perfectionism creeps in, creating the illusion that your creations must be flawless. Many fall into the trap of thinking that creative pursuits are a waste of time or money. These fears aren't unusual. Have these fears held you back? Nietzsche's philosophy provides a powerful antidote to these paralyzing fears. The idea of amor fati, embracing one's fate, can provide a powerful way to reframe perceived failures as necessary steps toward growth and self-discovery. Embrace imperfection, celebrating experimentation and focusing on the process instead of the outcome. View creative pursuits as opportunities for learning. Instead of fixating on external validation, immerse yourself in the joy of creation. Each creation is an opportunity to hone your skills and expand your perspective. Are you ready to embrace the unknown? Building confidence and pushing past the barriers to creativity requires structured effort. Set achievable goals, celebrate small victories, and embrace the learning process. It begins with setting small, achievable goals. Instead of aiming for perfection, focus on making consistent progress. Dedicate just 15 minutes each day to writing, painting, or playing music. Experiment with free writing, which is writing whatever comes to mind without self-judgment. Or try brainstorming without censorship, allowing yourself to explore ideas freely. Gathering feedback can be a crucial piece of the puzzle, but carefully select your sources. Seek input from trusted friends, mentors, or fellow creatives who can provide constructive criticism. What small step can you take today to break through a creative block? Even amidst setbacks or criticism, acknowledge progress. Track your growth and celebrate milestones. Keep a portfolio of your work, not to seek validation, but to monitor your progress and observe how far you've come. Share your creations online, participate in open mic nights, or exhibit your art in local galleries. Each action is a chance to get constructive feedback. Viewing progress and adjusting accordingly is another way that you can celebrate small victories and continue to push forward one small step at a time. How will you track your own progress? 30. Building your tribe. Creating communities of shared values, surrounding yourself with individuals who share your values amplifies personal growth. Humans are social creatures, and authentic living in isolation is arduous. Align yourself with those who resonate with your beliefs, as they will act as mirrors, reflecting back your values and holding you accountable. The herd mentality is a powerful force, which can be difficult to resist alone. Your chosen tribe reinforces new values, acting as a bulwark against conformity. Are you ready to assemble your tribe? Finding like-minded individuals, whether online or in person, starts with authenticity. Be open about your values and intentions. Seek out communities, online forums, or local groups that align with your interests and passions. Attend workshops, conferences, or meetups related to your field. Social media can also be a valuable tool for connecting with people who share your values. Join relevant groups, participate in discussions, and share your own insights and experiences. The strength of community resides in authentic, genuine connections. Where will you seek out connections? Healthy relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and support are essential for growth. Setting clear boundaries, effective communication, and constructive conflict resolution are key to maintaining these relationships. Respect involves acknowledging others' perspectives. Trust requires transparency. Support involves offering encouragement and assistance. In times of disagreement, express your feelings calmly and respectfully, actively listen to the other person's point of view, and seek common ground. Boundaries, even with those close to you, are essential for maintaining respect and the amount of support you can provide. What will you do to build and maintain healthy relationships? Community provides accountability and support, connecting the personal with the social. Form a mastermind group with fellow creatives or entrepreneurs where you can share your goals, challenges, and successes. Find a mentor who can offer guidance and support based on their own experiences. Join a collaborative project where you can contribute your skills and learn from others. Your tribe acts as a sounding board and a source of encouragement, sustaining your commitment to meaningful work and creative expression. Community provides a sense of belonging. What collaborative projects could you join? Building communities of shared values is externalizing and reinforcing internal beliefs and goals. Community values and collective vision work together to provide a strong foundation, both when destroying old values and birthing new ones. With meaningful work, creativity, and community, one element remains. The transformative insight, which will be revealed in the conclusion, ties everything together. It will require nothing less than total surrender to the process of meaning. 31. The transformative power of challenges. Seeing obstacles as opportunities, challenges are rarely welcomed, yet they are the crucibles in which our greatest strengths are forged. What appears as an insurmountable obstacle can, with a shift in perspective, transform into an extraordinary opportunity for growth. Take, for example, the story of Helen Keller, who, despite being blind and deaf, became a world-renowned author, activist, and lecturer. Her challenges were immense, but she refused to be defined by them. Instead, she saw them as opportunities to learn, grow, and inspire others. Her life is a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity and find meaning in the face of seemingly impossible odds. What if you treated your greatest challenge as your greatest opportunity? Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, love of fate, invites us to embrace challenges as integral components of our life's journey. This doesn't mean passively accepting suffering, but rather actively affirming every aspect of existence, including the difficult parts. A practical way to cultivate amor fati is through journaling. When faced with a setback, instead of dwelling on the negative, write about what you can learn from the experience. What strengths did you discover? What new perspectives did you gain? How can you use this experience to grow and evolve? By reframing negative experiences in this way, you can begin to see them as valuable lessons rather than insurmountable obstacles. How can you rewrite your narrative to embrace your fate? Overcoming challenges builds self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to succeed in specific situations or accomplish a task. As you overcome hurdles, your confidence grows, reinforcing Nietzsche's emphasis on the will to power the inherent drive to expand, grow, and overcome. Setting challenging goals and relentlessly pursuing them builds self-esteem and mastery. Commit to something that stretches you just beyond the reach of your comfort zone. If you've always been intimidated by public speaking, for example, join a Toastmasters club, or perhaps learn a new skill, like coding or playing a musical instrument. The sense of accomplishment you derive from overcoming these challenges will fuel your will to power and inspire you to pursue even greater heights. What new skill could you commit to learning right now? Challenges can also spark creative expression. Artists often channel their struggles, transforming pain and adversity into works of beauty and meaning. Frida Kahlo, for example, used her art to express the physical and emotional pain she endured throughout her life. Her paintings are raw, honest, and deeply moving, resonating with viewers who have experienced their own forms of suffering. Similarly, many musicians write songs about their heartbreaks, using their music to process their emotions and connect with others who have gone through similar experiences. View obstacles as raw material for self-expression. How can you use your creativity to channel your challenges? 32. The crucible of suffering. Finding meaning in pain and loss, suffering and loss, are unavoidable realities of the human condition. While we naturally seek to avoid them, they often serve as catalysts for profound growth and self-discovery. It's essential to acknowledge, without glorifying, the difficult realities of pain and loss. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, documented his experiences in man's search for meaning. In the concentration camps, Frankl observed that those who had a sense of purpose, something to live for, were more likely to survive. He concluded that even in the most horrific circumstances, humans have the power to choose their attitude and find meaning. His story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and purpose can endure. What will you cling to when the unthinkable occurs? Nietzsche's philosophy offers a framework for finding meaning in suffering. He argued that suffering can be a powerful catalyst for growth, forcing us to confront our limitations, question our values, and discover our inner strength. Suffering can strip away our illusions, revealing the essence of who we are. It can also lead to a deeper appreciation for life, a greater sense of compassion, and a more profound understanding of ourselves and others. By facing our suffering with courage and honesty, we can transform it into something meaningful and valuable. What have you learned from your deepest suffering? The will to power isn't about dominance, it's about resilience. Enduring suffering and finding meaning within it exemplify inner strength. Individuals who have overcome great adversity often become sources of inspiration for others. Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison for his activism against apartheid, emerged with unwavering resolve, later becoming president of South Africa and a global advocate for peace and reconciliation. His ability to endure suffering and to find meaning in his struggle made him a beacon of hope for millions. How can your resilience inspire others? Coping with suffering requires self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend in pain. Allow yourself to grieve, to feel your emotions fully without judgment. Seek support from others, talk to a therapist, join a support group, or confide in a trusted friend or family member. Engage in activities that bring you joy and meaning, whether it's spending time in nature, listening to music, or volunteering your time to a cause you care about. These actions help you cope with grief and pain. What brings you joy and meaning, and how can you incorporate it into your life today? While pain and loss can seem meaningless in the moment, it's how we use these moments that defines us. The key isn't just enduring, but using pain as fuel for growth and transformation. 33. The power of perspective. Reframing your narrative. Perspective shapes our experiences. The same event can elicit vastly different reactions depending on how it's perceived. Carol Dweck's research on fixed versus growth mindsets illuminates this point. People with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are static, while those with a growth mindset see abilities as developable. When faced with a challenge, someone with a fixed mindset may feel threatened and give up easily, while someone with a growth mindset sees it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Cultivating a growth mindset allows you to embrace challenges and setbacks as stepping stones toward your goals, rather than evidence of your limitations. How can you adopt a growth mindset? Cognitive reframing involves changing your thoughts about a situation to alter your emotional response. For example, imagine you lose your job. A negative thought might be, "I'm a failure." A more positive reframe could be, "This is an opportunity to explore new career paths." Challenge negative thoughts by asking yourself, is this thought based on evidence or just an assumption? Is there another way to interpret the situation? Focus on the positive aspects of the situation and create a new narrative that empowers you. Instead of viewing yourself as a victim, see yourself as a survivor. How can you challenge and reframe a negative thought? Nietzsche's perspectivism suggests there is no objective truth, only interpretations. This understanding can be liberating. Question assumptions and consider alternative viewpoints. Instead of clinging to your own perspective as the only valid one, be open to exploring other possibilities. If you find yourself in conflict with someone, try to understand their point of view. What experiences have shaped their perspective? How might they see the world differently from you? Embracing perspectivism allows you to break free from rigid thinking and cultivate empathy and understanding. Can you truly consider other perspectives? Construct a life narrative that empowers you. Use journaling prompts to reframe your past. Write about your challenges and successes. Identify the values that guide your decisions and intentionally weave them into your story. Focus on your strengths and accomplishments and create a vision for your future that inspires you. How can you craft a narrative that empowers and motivates you? Transforming experiences requires embracing challenges, enduring suffering, and reframing your perspective, all aspects of amor fati, loving your fate. 34. The limits of reason. Embracing intuition and instinct, purely rational thought, has limits. Intuition and instinct can provide valuable guidance, particularly in complex situations. Consider relationships, where emotions and unspoken cues often outweigh logic, or creative endeavors, where inspiration strikes in unexpected moments. Even in crises, gut reactions can be life-saving. While reason is valuable, it's not the only tool. Nietzsche challenged the Enlightenment's overemphasis on reason, which he believed suppressed our instincts and emotions. He saw the Dionysian spirit, representing instinct and passion, as a necessary complement to the Apollonian spirit of reason. He thought balance between chaos and order was important. For Nietzsche, over-reliance on reason led to a sterile, passionless existence, cut off from the vital forces of life. Develop intuition through mindfulness. Quiet the mind and pay attention to bodily sensations. Spend time in nature, allowing yourself to connect with its rhythms. Disconnect from technology and create space for quiet reflection. Write down your thoughts and feelings in a journal. When faced with a decision, ask yourself, what does my gut tell me? What feels right? Practice trusting your intuition, even when it defies logic. Balancing reason with intuition leads to authentic, fulfilling decisions. Trusting your gut can lead to breakthroughs. Many successful entrepreneurs have relied on intuition to make bold moves, and many artists find inspiration in moments of spontaneous insight. By honoring both your rational and intuitive faculties, you can tap into a deeper source of wisdom and creativity. Do you trust your gut feelings? Embracing intuition is a form of active nihilism, destroying reliance on cold, hard facts. This empowers self-overcoming. 35. The final integration, a life of meaningful challenges and growth. Self-overcoming, amor fati, creative expression, community, authenticity, perspectivism, and balanced thought. These themes converge to create a life of purpose and intention. Imagine a life where you embrace challenges, channel your suffering into creative expression, cultivate meaningful relationships, and approach every situation with an open mind. It involves living in accordance with your values, honoring your intuition, and continually striving to become the best version of yourself. Such a life isn't about achieving a destination, but embracing a continuous journey of self-discovery and growth. Embrace the ups and downs of life. View setbacks as learning. Reframe negative experiences, focusing on what you can control. Celebrate small victories and acknowledge your progress. Remember that meaning isn't something to be found, but something to be created. You have the power to take control of your life and design a future that aligns with your values and inspires you. Even with these elements, a core struggle remains. Something still feels missing. It can be tempting to look to external sources for this something, whether in work, relationships, or accomplishments. The search for meaning, ultimately, will always be an internal quest. The next and final transformative insight is to address what to do when, even with all of these elements active in one's life, the meaning still feels fleeting. 36. Confronting the void. Finding meaning in a meaningless world. The mere notion that existence might lack inherent meaning can trigger profound discomfort. It's a stark realization, a plunge into the unknown that can unsettle even the most steadfast minds. This feeling of unease, this existential angst is not a modern invention. It has echoed through the corridors of human consciousness since time immemorial, intensified by the apparent randomness of events, the inevitability of death, and the seeming absence of objective purpose. Yet Nietzsche didn't see this confrontation with the void as a descent into despair, but rather as a necessary crucible, a challenging initiation into the realm of self-creation. To simply declare, life is meaningless, and succumb to apathy is a disservice to the potential that lies dormant within each of us. To recognize that no external source will validate your choices, and that no preordained destiny awaits you, can be a truly liberating experience, freeing you from the shackles of expectation and empowering you to chart your own course. Have you considered that the absence of inherent meaning is the ultimate invitation to define your own existence? Confronting existential anxiety requires active engagement, not passive resignation. Practical strategies can help navigate these turbulent waters. Mindfulness practices, for instance, can ground you in the present moment, allowing you to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Seeking guidance through therapy can provide valuable tools for processing complex emotions and developing coping mechanisms. Engaging in philosophical inquiry, delving into the works of existential thinkers like Nietzsche, Sartre, and Camus, can offer new perspectives and frameworks for understanding your place in the cosmos. The key is to transform your angst into a catalyst for action. Take the amorphous fear, the shapeless uncertainty, and mold it into a concrete plan, a tangible goal. Each step you take, no matter how small, will solidify your resolve and diminish the power of the void. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, what steps could you take today? Self-responsibility is the cornerstone of creating your own meaning and purpose. This isn't a one-time declaration, but an ongoing commitment, a continuous process of self-discovery and refinement. It's a skill that develops over time, honed through experience, reflection, and a willingness to adapt. Individuals who take ownership of their lives, who embrace the freedom and responsibility that come with self-determination, are far more likely to experience lasting fulfillment and happiness, even when faced with adversity. As Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." The core concept is that nihilism, the acknowledgement of the void, is the foundational element upon which true meaning can be constructed. You cannot build a house on sand. You must first excavate the ground and lay a solid foundation. What why will you choose to live by? 37. The alchemy of suffering. Transforming pain into purpose, the discussion of suffering often centers on acceptance, on finding ways to cope with the inevitable hardships of life. But what if we could move beyond mere acceptance, beyond simply enduring the pain, to actively transforming it into something of value? This is where the concept of spiritual alchemy comes into play, the notion that we can transmute base emotions, such as grief, anger, and despair, into something akin to gold compassion, resilience, and constructive action. Instead of viewing pain as a purely negative force, we can see it as a raw material, a catalyst for growth and transformation. The focus shifts from "it is okay to suffer" to "suffering can be good for you," for it is in these moments of intense challenge that we often discover our greatest strengths. What if your greatest pain could become your greatest gift? Nietzsche's concept of amor fati takes on new dimensions in this context. It isn't merely about passively embracing fate, accepting whatever life throws our way. It's about actively shaping our destiny through the way we respond to challenges. It's about seizing control of the narrative, becoming the author of our own lives, even when the plot takes unexpected turns. This involves intentionally channeling suffering into creative expression, social activism, or personal growth. Turn past trauma into a driving force to help others navigate similar struggles. For instance, overcoming addiction allows one to become a more effective addiction counselor, their own experiences providing invaluable insights and empathy. Or surviving abuse can transform an individual into a passionate advocate for victims' rights, their pain fueling their determination to create change. How can your pain become your purpose? Individuals who have transformed tragedy into triumph, who have turned personal pain into widespread benefits, serve as powerful examples of this alchemical process. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, whose experiences in the concentration camps led him to develop logotherapy, a school of psychotherapy focused on finding meaning in life. Or the story of Malala Yousafzai, who survived being shot by the Taliban for advocating for girls' education, and went on to become a Nobel Peace Prize laureate and a global symbol of courage and resilience. These individuals demonstrate that suffering, when channeled effectively, can be a source of profound strength and inspiration. It requires more than perspective shifting, more than active nihilism. It requires a fundamental reorientation, a conscious decision to transform destructive experiences into the fuel for something entirely new, not just something that is less bad. What will you create out of the ashes of your past? 38. The ethical imperative. Living a life of purpose and meaning. If we are to create our own values, we are inherently responsible for those creations. What does it truly mean to live ethically in a world devoid of inherent moral values? Creating a personal ethical code based on life affirmation, self-overcoming, and the relentless pursuit of excellence becomes not merely a suggestion, but a moral obligation. The goal extends beyond self-betterment. It encompasses a commitment to making the world a better place, leaving a positive impact on the lives of others. An ethical code rooted in life affirmation transcends the simple directive of do no harm and actively strives for do more good, seeking to enhance the well-being of all. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness and understanding that our actions have ripple effects that extend far beyond our immediate sphere. How can your actions contribute to a more just and compassionate world? Living in accordance with your values often requires courage and sacrifice. Sometimes, upholding your ethical code demands making difficult choices, even if it causes pain or discomfort. This is where true integrity lies, in the unwavering commitment to your principles, regardless of the consequences. One may need to end a friendship to preserve sobriety, recognizing that the relationship is detrimental to their well-being and their commitment to recovery. Or one may need to leave a job because it's not aligned with their values, even if it means facing financial uncertainty. These decisions are not easy, but they are essential for maintaining alignment between your actions and your beliefs. Are you prepared to make difficult choices to uphold your values? Accountability is the bedrock upon which trust is built, both with oneself and with others. It involves taking ownership of your decisions, acknowledging your mistakes, and learning from your experiences. Ethical boundaries must be set. Value-based decisions require intention. Living with integrity demands reflection. Practical tips such as journaling, meditation, and open communication can help you stay on track and maintain a strong sense of self. By holding yourself accountable, you cultivate self-respect and earn the respect of those around you. Creating an ethical code is not solely for personal advancement. It is about contributing to a better world, recognizing that a life well-lived is not merely about doing what you can, but about doing what you should. What steps can you take to live more ethically, starting today? 39. The infinite horizon. Embracing the eternal journey. Nietzsche's philosophy is not a destination to be reached, but rather a perpetual odyssey of self-discovery and value creation, an ongoing process of becoming. There is no end goal to life, no final achievement that marks the culmination of our efforts, only continuous growth and evolution. It's not about conquering the mountain, but about relishing the climb, embracing the challenges, and savoring the journey. As T.S. Eliot wrote, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." How can you embrace the journey, rather than fixating on the destination? Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence can be interpreted not as a literal prophecy, but as a profound call to live each moment to the fullest, as if it were destined to repeat itself infinitely. Imagine living your life in such a way that you would gladly relive every moment, every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, and every setback, over and over again. This thought experiment challenges us to examine our choices, our values, and our actions, and to ask ourselves whether we are truly living in alignment with our deepest selves. Each moment is an opportunity to create value, to affirm life, and to become more fully ourselves. As Nietzsche himself proclaimed, live your life as though you'd have to live it again and again. What kind of life would you create if you knew you would have to live it forever? Even when grappling with past and future life-affirming challenges, one can always grow and evolve. Remember that the power to transform your life lies within you, waiting to be unleashed. The video has explored meaning creation through challenges, ethical value, and continuous self-improvement. These concepts are not mere philosophical abstractions, but tangible realities that can shape your life in profound ways. You are the architect of your own existence. Now, there is one key ingredient that we have not yet touched upon, without which all prior concepts will be nothing more than a house built of cards. It is what binds together all of these seemingly disparate elements, the catalyst that transforms potential into reality. The next step, as will be revealed in the conclusion, is what you choose to do with this newfound wisdom. This revelation holds the power to reshape your perspective, ignite your passion, and alter the course of your life forever. 40. The decisive act. Overcoming nihilism through action. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't an invitation to intellectualize despair, but rather a summons to transformative action. The ability to discover meaning in a world seemingly devoid of it rests not in passive acceptance, but in actively forging one's own path through deliberate choices and actions. Consider the stark contrast. The passive nihilist, paralyzed by the perceived meaninglessness of existence, versus the active individual who embraces the freedom to create values, to sculpt their own purpose in the face of the void. It is the difference between observing the storm and becoming the lightning. The transformative insight, the true key to unlocking Nietzsche's philosophy, lies not merely in understanding or feeling, but in doing. You might diligently study self-overcoming, meticulously practice amor fati, and even construct thriving communities. But if you remain trapped in the realm of philosophical contemplation without translating these principles into tangible action, you risk remaining suspended in a state of existential purgatory. One can study the art of swimming, understand the physics of buoyancy, and even visualize gliding effortlessly through the water. But until one actually enters the pool, the true experience remains elusive. Nietzsche's framework serves as a powerful guide for aligning your actions with life-affirming values. It demands a deep understanding of the self, an unwavering embrace of reality, a reliance on instinct, and the forging of an authentic ethical code. Taking action might manifest as launching a business venture that embodies your core beliefs, embarking on a creative pursuit that ignites your soul, or severing ties with a toxic relationship that stifles your growth. The essence of amor fati is not about enduring unfortunate events, but about recognizing their inevitability and responding to them with a creative solution that makes life better. Only by translating these teachings into lived experience can you begin to discern their truth, to evaluate their resonance within the crucible of your own existence. What decisive act will you undertake today? 41. A tapestry of meaning. Weaving significance into existence. True meaning isn't a prepackaged commodity to be discovered, but a richly woven tapestry created from the threads of our experiences, both positive and negative. It emerges from the challenges we overcome, the failures we learn from, the communities we nurture, and the values we uphold. To deny any aspect of this intricate web is to diminish the whole, to unravel the very fabric of our being. Embracing both the light and the dark, the joys and the sorrows, is essential for crafting a life of profound significance. Consider the intricate beauty of a Persian rug, where contrasting colors and patterns intertwine to create a harmonious whole. Similarly, our lives are enriched by the interplay of diverse experiences, each contributing to the overall design. While Nietzsche's framework offers invaluable guidance, it's crucial to recognize that there is no ultimate destination or definitive cure for nihilism. The human experience is one of constant evolution, a continuous unfolding of new challenges, new problems, and new opportunities for growth. The key lies not in seeking a final resolution, but in embracing the journey itself, finding meaning in the process of striving, of pushing boundaries, and of becoming. While guidance is available, there is no singular right answer applicable to all. Each individual must embark on a unique quest to unearth their own purpose, to define their own meaning in the grand tapestry of existence. Success cannot be measured solely by financial wealth, but by the depth of your happiness, the fulfillment of your passions, and the positive impact you leave on the world. Consider the legacy of someone like Mother Teresa, whose life was dedicated to serving the poor and marginalized, or the impact of a local teacher who inspires countless students to pursue their dreams. What will be your unique measure of success? 42. Answering the void. Resolving initial questions, having traversed the intricate landscape of Nietzsche's philosophy, it's time to revisit the initial questions that sparked this exploration, offering nuanced answers informed by our journey. Was Nietzsche a nihilist? No, he was a diagnostician, identifying nihilism as a critical challenge of his time and relentlessly seeking ways to overcome it. What did he mean by the will to power? Not merely the desire to dominate, but the intrinsic drive to create, to grow, to surpass oneself. Is it possible to create values in a meaningless world? Emphatically, yes. This is the very essence of self-overcoming, of authentic living, of imbuing existence with purpose through conscious action. It's important to acknowledge the inherent tensions and ambiguities within Nietzsche's thought. He invites readers to disagree with him and to come to their own conclusions. He is simply offering a framework to make it easier to navigate life. This inherent uncertainty is not a flaw, but a strength, a catalyst for critical thinking and intentional living. The answers are not static pronouncements, but evolving questions that challenge us to delve deeper, to refine our understanding, and to live with unwavering purpose. Release yourself from the pressure of possessing all the answers, embrace the inherent ambiguity of existence, and revel in the freedom of the unknown. Instead of seeking absolute certainty, find solace in the process of exploration, in the continuous unfolding of possibilities. Embrace the mystery, for it is within the unknown that true discovery lies. What new questions will you ask? 43. The Open Road. A call to exploration. Your exploration of Nietzsche's philosophy need not end here. Consider this video a mere stepping stone on a lifelong path of self-discovery and philosophical inquiry. Dive deeper into his works, beginning perhaps with Thus Spoke Zarathustra or on the genealogy of morality, and engage with the diverse interpretations offered by scholars and thinkers throughout history. Challenge your own assumptions, question established norms, and remain open to the transformative power of new ideas. Expand your horizons by exploring related thinkers and concepts that build upon Nietzsche's foundation. Delve into the works of existentialists like Sartre and Camus, absurdists like Albert, and pragmatists like William James, and explore how their perspectives intersect with and diverge from Nietzsche's. Consider the influence of Nietzsche on subsequent movements in art, literature, and psychology, tracing the threads of his thought through the tapestry of intellectual history. Now, take what you've learned and apply it to the crucible of your own life. Become an active creator of meaning, a weaver of values, a relentless pursuer of self-overcoming. Identify one small, concrete action you can take today to live more authentically, to embrace the challenges that confront you, or to create something new that reflects your unique vision. Let this be your decisive act, your first step on the path to a life of purpose and significance. Share your thoughts, experiences, and creations in the comments section below, fostering a community of inquiry and mutual support. Let your voice be heard, your ideas be challenged, and your actions inspire others to embark on their own journeys of self-discovery. Remember, the true test of philosophy lies not in its theoretical elegance, but in its transformative power to shape lives and inspire